For joining. Here to give a little bit more information about this new tilt bed trailer that's soon to be released, soon to be available. Got the prototype here that's all finished up and that is nearly in complete form as far as what's going to be produced and offered. There'll be a couple slight variations as we go throughout the video here. I'll be sure to point those out as we go, but by and large what you see here is what Tim at Bedrock RC will be producing very soon and shipping out from eastern Colorado out to you modelers who are interested in getting one. So I want to give a little bit of an overview of the trailer, show it in operation, show some of the details that are incorporated into it, and then we'll get it flipped over and look at it with it laying on its top so you can kind of see how the mechanical bits and pieces work underneath and what's involved in making it operate, making it move. So as I mentioned, I'm the designer of the trailer. Beyond that, I won't have any involvement in actually making them and building them. Tim at Bedrock RC is going to be handling all that. He's got a large fabrication presence there in Colorado, as I mentioned, and he'll actually be laser cutting these, welding them together, and then sending them out to those who want them. It's been designed in the USA, of course. It's going to be made in the USA, USA steel, USA labor to make it. Obviously, several of the components, the lasso axles, the lighting, the linear actuators, which we'll look at here in a little bit, those are all sourced from overseas. Unfortunately, there's just not a pipeline to get those parts in the US. So we've incorporated as much American material into it as we can, but in certain cases, there's just no way around it. You can't get these little actuators and little LED lights and things, and of course the wheels and tires. As it's shown here, it has decals on it. I will tell you that is very up in the air as of the filming of this video. There's obvious licensing considerations there. Tim is in communication with Landoll in Kansas and has definitely reached out and made an effort to obtain the necessary permissions and sign-offs to license it and make it official. It is unknown as of this time, as of the time of making this video, if that's going to happen or not. So it is best, if you're considering this, that you consider the decals an afterthought and a bonus if they do happen and they do come, but that may be something that simply isn't possible. He's trying his best, but things being as they are with medium to large size companies, it just may not happen. So they're pretty, they look great. I hope we can make it happen. It may not happen, however, so just be aware of that. Pricing, let's talk a little bit about pricing, because that's going to be in the forefront of everybody's mind. Again, I'm not handling the business side of it. I'm just reporting what he has kind of put out there publicly and what he's shared with me. So the goal is to offer this in several states of finish. The most basic state is going to be the complete frame, so the front and rear, all of the steel parts that are laser cut, bent, and then laser welded together would be included in that kit. That would be the very most basic version. It would not be powder coated or painted. It would not have any wooden decking. It would not have any electronics. Basically, you would get a Amazon shopping list or some type of list of the parts that you'll need to obtain. And nearly everything on here, with the exception of a couple little things, is available on Amazon. So probably going to be an Amazon shopping list. You'd be able to buy the bare frame. The goal is to have that come in at or under $900 delivered to you in the US. So it would require you to source these parts on your own, get the trailer painted or powder coated to your liking, or do that if that's your kind of thing. Certainly it'd be cool to paint your own trailer, wire it up, add the wooden decking, do all of that on your own. So it would really be a very bare kit with all of the parts. From there, he's going to be willing to finish it in stages, and again, that's going to be a conversation you're going to need to have with him. But if you want it assembled but maybe no electronics, that's something he's going to be able to do. And then, as shown here, consider it fully assembled with electronics, with lights, all wired up, everything working. That top end is going to land somewhere in the approximately $1,900 range. Please, again, let me back up and say these numbers are all best estimates as of today. Those are conversations you'll need to have individually with Tim. He's easy to find online, has a presence on Facebook and all the groups, and has a website as well, and I'll link that down below here in the description. So he's going to be your best source of case by case pricing. If you say, hey, I want a white trailer and I want this amount of stuff done to it and I want a bag of parts, then he's going to be the guy that can give you all that information. I'm really just here to show you what we've designed and come up with and how this first one works and how it functions, and that'll give you an idea if you want to move forward and pursue getting on the list to get one ordered. So enough about pricing. I think the deck on mine I spent considerable time on. Kind of tilt it up here so you can see it. I've laser cut this from basswood and then spent quite a bit of time individually staining and weathering different pieces of wood to get the look that I wanted. It's not going to come that way. That's going to be something you'll have to do on your own. I know he is going to offer a laser cut deck either in plywood or maybe 1/8 inch thick MDF. Just know that many hours of extra effort have been put into this one, and that's just obviously not a sustainable thing on a production type basis. Definitely something you could do yourself. Not many dollars worth of materials involved in getting the deck to look like that. Just quite a bit of work and some patience, but it's kind of something fun to do maybe on an evening or two. We're gonna cut to the trailer flipped over here. I want to show you everything on the underside in just a moment and show you what's going on underneath and what's involved in making it move. But before we do, I don't have it hooked to a truck right now, but I'll kind of show you the function of the trailer. So obviously it is able to tilt. Keep in mind, like I said, it's not attached to a fifth wheel right now, so it would tilt just a little bit differently when it was up on the kingpin of a truck. But so able to tilt, and it's able to do that even with a heavier machine model wise on it than would ever be on it in real life. Obviously these trailers are not meant to haul a D10 cat around, or 963 track loader, or some giant heavy, E400 excavator. That's not what these trailers are meant for in real life. They're meant for smaller equipment, little baby dozers, baby excavators, rollers. It works great with a roller. Any type of rubber tracked or rubber wheeled machines you have. Obviously in real life they haul buckets and Connex containers and all kinds of stuff that needs loaded and unloaded off of these. It's a heavy trailer. It will carry quite a bit of weight, but that's not what it's meant for, and definitely not what I recommend you do with it. I've tested it well beyond what I think is reasonable, and it has stood up to that. But having said that, you're going to want to use some care and hopefully not load your giant 395 excavator on it or something like that. It would look ridiculous, and it just wouldn't be right. The traveling axle is able to move, so as shown here, the two axles can travel together. There's some other videos I've got out there that show it with actual equipment on it hooked to a truck. I'll let you watch those if you're really interested in the function of it traveling. One of the neat things I think that we've been able to incorporate is that it also has a sliding axle, so you're able to vary the distance between the two rear axles. In real life, the trailer's got 70 inches of additional spread that can be added between the axles to distribute weight, and in the model it has a scale right at 70 or 72 inches of width here that I'm able to add to the center line of the two axles. And we'll stop that and we'll move. You can see that we move them together. This will all make more sense when you see it underneath and see how things actually operate. But if you had a long heavy load and you wanted the weight spread out, something more like this configuration here that it's about to park itself in might be common with the two axles spread. Or obviously if you want it to be super maneuverable, you could move the axles ahead and you could bring them together. Right now I'm operating both functions at the same time, so the spread is decreasing as it's coming forward. Again, I think that'll all make more sense when we get it flipped around, but something like this would of course be quite maneuverable. So I'm gonna end the video here for just a second. You'll just see a cut. We'll flip it around to underneath and you'll get to see what's going on underneath. And hey, as promised, I've got her flipped over and we're gonna take a look at the underside here, see what's going on mechanically and electrically to make this thing work, I think we'll just start at the back here and work towards the front, and then I'll show you a couple of things in a little bit more detail as we get towards the end of that. One mention as you look at this, please know that the electronics that I've chosen to use here, the speed controls I've used, the receiver I've used, the wiring, it's going to be different. Tim is going to source different speed controls. The actuators will be the same, motors will be the same, none of that's going to change. Electrical pickups will be the same, lighting will be the same, but just know that everything you see up in this area, the electronics are going to be changed and frankly improved. These are super low end $2 a piece speed controls I've used here, and he's going to choose to use something a little bit more proven and robust, and so it'll be set up for 3S, ready to go. Actuators are all 12 volts, motors 12 volts, so it'll be perfect. So that'll actually be better than what you see here. Just know it won't be exactly what you see here. So starting at the back, we've got 6 tail lights, nice oval LED tail lights. I realize you can't see them now because of where the camera's at. I'll try to get some detail shots maybe edited in here that show that, or in one of the operation videos you'll be able to see them. They operate throughout the travel due to this electrical pickup, which I'll show you in a little bit more detail here once we've kind of gone through the trailer. But because LEDs are so super sensitive to flickering, to having a constant voltage and current supplied to them, I have chosen to incorporate a small keep alive capacitor here in my tail light circuit. What that means for you, should you choose to go that route, is that when you unplug the battery and turn the trailer off, the tail lights will stay on for 2 to 3 minutes. So you just need to be okay with that and aware of that. I've also wired my tail lights up so that they're just on all the time. There are separate circuits here, separate paths for both the left and the right tail light. So if you would choose to, say yourself, put a buyer or DIY guy sound module, lighting control module here, you do have the ability to control those sets of 3 left and 3 right separately. It's built into the trailer. As shown here, I've got them wired up really just as dumb tail lights. As soon as battery power is applied, they come on, just like as parking lights, driving lights. The light bar was so hidden underneath the rear end of the trailer, I didn't feel the need to have working turn signals and brake lights. If you want to go that extra mile and do that, just know that physically it's set up for that. It is not the plan to offer the trailer that way. That's something you would have to do yourself after the fact, or if you buy one in kit form just as a welded frame, obviously you can go all out, and we'll make sure that these, I call it a linear slip ring for lack of a better term, that we've designed here. I'll show you that in more detail in a moment, but we'll make sure one of those is included well, so you're not trying to come up with some proprietary obscure part for your build. So both axles are supported on linear bearings. As I said, they are Lasso axles, aluminum wheels, ball bearings. Obviously has a little bit of suspension travel, about probably 5 millimeters at most. They're not super long travel axles anyhow, so they're just enough there to take up some bumps and have a little bit of compliance as you go over some uneven surfaces. Again, linear rails that run the length. A multi-start lead screw here. If you've got a 3D printer, particularly an older one, you'll recognize this T8 lead screw, very common in the 3D printer world, used almost everywhere, especially on older like Ender printers and older open printers. Very, very common. Low maintenance, a couple drops of oil should last a really long time. I would not recommend, and I think hopefully you'll agree when you see what all is going on underneath here mechanically and electrically, it's not really a trailer that you should be dragging through piles of dirt and getting high centered and having in loose dirt up through the axles. It's going to get in all of this stuff. And obviously that's going to tend to be a maintenance nightmare over time. So certainly you can drive it across the dirt, drive it out on dirty paths, drive it outside where it's dusty and do all that. But it's really not the kind of trailer. And with these little tiny tires, you're not going to be dragging it through real deep dirt anyhow. You wouldn't in real life, but just kind of a word of caution there that it's not meant to be your your extreme off-roading rig. That's not what it's meant for. Little gear motor up front, planetary gear motor. So again, just a 12 volt DC brushed motor. It's running our lead screw that's going to move our axles back and forth. I'll show you that operating here in just a moment. Know that these pivot pins are a little bit long on the prototype. We've got shorter ones spec'd out, so in your model you won't have this big long pin hanging out there, so you can ignore that. Two 12 volt linear actuators up here that pick up the deck. If you've watched my other videos, you'll see it can even tilt with a, again, to go back to that ridiculously large model on it, a model that shouldn't be on it in real life or as a model. So they've got plenty of power. Just know that it will hold more than we would really like you to put on it. I've chosen to do all my wiring with these Wagos. I'm not exactly certain how Tim will handle that on the final product, but again, don't get too hung up on any of the electronics here since they're going to change. Manual jacks up front, so these are adjustable. They've got about 4 different positions you can park them in, and there's a little lever here you can pull, and then you can release them to collapse them. They're spring loaded, they'll go back in. 9 lights along each side, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, 9 amber orange marker lights along each side. Again, I've just wired those up to be dumb, and they're just on. They are all set up with resistors to be on the 3S LiPo battery. There's a little 3S 850 LiPo hiding out down in here, held in with some Velcro. I've just got JST plugs. Again, he'll handle the finer points of how this is all going to be wired up. I anticipate it will be something similar. The trailer does use limit switches to limit its travel at both extremes. So we've got the front limit switch here. The rear limit switch is probably out of your view and hardly visible at all with the bumper guard in place like it is. The reason that I've incorporated limit switches is that there is not a simple mechanical solution to having this carriage be able to stop or overrun at both ends. The reason for that is the width of the carriage can vary. Therefore, where it stops can't be handled mechanically because that's a moving target. It's a changing number. So when the axles are relatively close together like this, it will stop at one point. Imagine now if this axle's another 40 millimeters forward, it needs to stop at a different point so that it doesn't physically crash and bind up. So for that reason, limit switches and blocking diodes have been used. They're the same limit switches that are in a computer mouse. Very little current. Each of these items that's on a limit switch pulls like 1/10 of an amp. So they're really low draw devices on these little micro switches. Electrical pickups. Let's look at that in a little bit more detail. I've actually got one here. So this is kind of again, the name I've given it, as Tim and I have been talking, is linear slip rail. Or linear slip ring. I don't really know a good term. It's like a catenary on a crane, I guess, or a sliding electrical pickup. So there are pure copper strips here embedded in a 3D print. There are 5 circuits, 2 for the actuator that handles the variable width of the axle. Those 2 are wired up here. They're labeled. You can see actuator positive and actuator negative on this laser engraved part. My trailer has a copper strip in the middle. In reality, there will be a blank space there. There's no need for that copper strip, so we'll be leaving that out. And then the other 3 circuits will be the right taillight positive, the center one on this side is the taillight negative, and then the outboard most is the taillight positive for the left side. So we've got 2 pickups here that will handle the linear actuator that's controlling the spread. And then on the rear carriage, independent of that, we're picking up on those outer 3 circuits. And again, left tail right, center tap negative or center position negative, and then right taillight positive. And those all make use of these sliding spring-loaded contacts. So those are what is actually sliding on these copper strips and picking up the 12 volts to operate either the lights or the actuator in the case of the spread. Let me show you a little bit of operation here with it flipped upside down. I think it's kind of neat to see it move. We'll move her back and forth a little bit. I'll run it back to its rear limit switch here. You'll see that when it's at its rearmost position, it's going to actuate that limit switch and it will stop. I'm fortunate to have kind of higher end radio. I've got everything set up on these slider pots. I realize you may have switches or you may have other ways that you end up programming it depending on what radio you use, but I've chosen to put my my function on these slider pots. Because of the fact that there's limit switches at both ends, you can, in theory, run it backwards and just leave it sit here. The voltage is going to be interrupted to the motor, and so you shouldn't have any problems. Having said that, it's not great to just leave an ESC sitting there kind of deadheaded like that either for long periods of time, so I'd recommend you either put them on self-centering switches or remember to put your slider back when you get to where you want to be. It's just good practice so you don't burn up any of your electronics or drain your battery unnecessarily quickly. And then the variable width here for the rear axles, the center line distance of the two rear axles, or the pitch of them. Again, I've got that set up on a slider. You might put it on a switch, or maybe if you're using an i6, you might use the rollers up above or something. That'll be up to you how you set it up with your radio equipment. You'll need to have at least 4 channels for the trailer if you want to control the lighting on and off, or 3 channels if you just want to control the motor function. So we've got lift as a function, slide of the axles, and then spread of the axles is the third function. These actuators have built-in limit switches, so for both the spread actuator and the tilt actuators, you don't have to worry about anything. The limit switches are physically built into the actuators. You can leave them here all day long, but again, I just think it's best practice to put your controls back to the middle so you're ready to take her the other way when it's time. Tilt. Let's look at the tilt. I've got that set up on this slider, this rocker, so you can see we're able to tilt here. Those two actuators work together. It locks at both ends, so you'll see the actuators use up a little bit of their travel in between. As it reaches both extremes, it will seem like it's doing almost nothing. If you continue to go, however, the actuator will lock itself against hard stops, laser cut into these grooves. So it will lock in the up position like it is now, and it will lock in the down position here. And so that is going to mean that as you handle the trailer and go over bumps and things like that, you won't have any problems with this wanting to open up or tilt or anything. It's firmly drawn down, and it's actually clamped down right now at this point. So just know that that's part of operating it. It's pretty fun actually to operate it, drive things on and off of it, run it up, run it down, put the axles where you want them, run the axles forward, tilt it, unload something, run the axles back, set the spread where you want. It's pretty fun to operate. It tows really nice. It just tows super nice. It just really rolls along quite nicely with a 8 or 10 pound machine on it. It's just really nice. The neck, let's talk about the neck. This neck is perfectly scale. The whole trailer is perfectly scale. It should be within a percentage or two of reality everywhere throughout its dimensions. The width, the height, everything is very, very close. Many of our fancy trucks, especially if you've got a grand hauler, something with stretched out frame rails, big long truck with fancy taillights in the back of it, they are on the long side of things, and they are maybe even a little bit exaggerated in length compared to a real size truck. Because of that, this gets very, very tight on a long grand hauler, even with the hitch in the forwardmost position. I've got some videos of me towing it with my grand hauler. It clears the taillights barely. We're talking like a few millimeters, so it barely clears. Because of that, there are going to be 2 options when you get the trailer from Tim. You can either go with what I'm calling like a super scale, where this is just dead to the rights, on with the measurements, everything is really close. It's going to be best for those who are real sticklers for scale and numbers and things matching, and that's going to be the one to go with. Optionally, we're going to offer, it's the same price, it's no different, you just need to let Tim know. There's another trailer that is extended by 30 millimeters right in here. So you'll have 30 millimeters extra wooden decking and 30 millimeters extra length out to your kingpin. So that's going to be best for guys who want to tow it behind a truck that they're questioning, or maybe if you don't have an adjustable hitch that you're not able to move back at all. In real life with the Landoll, oftentimes you have to move that adjustable hitch back so that it favors the rear axle. And if you don't have that ability or don't want to do that with your model, then you should probably opt for the the longer neck. It still looks good, and I can hardly even detect by looking at it that it's different. It still looks right, if that makes sense, but this actually is right. The other one just looks right, but really isn't. It'll be stretched out. So we got kind of this super scale approach where everything is really just nats on, and then you've got more of a semi-scale, which is probably a lot easier to operate, a lot more tolerant of different trucks. If you want to let your buddy haul it around, maybe you have several semis you're going to hook it with and you don't want to be moving the hitch around, you don't want to be dealing with that, then you'd be better off to get the 30 millimeter longer neck. Gains you about 1.25 inches there. Again, no extra cost. Just let Tim know which option you have. He's got all the files and is cutting and making them in both varieties. So just choose whichever suits you, and let him know when you order. I think that covers everything underneath the bottom side of the truck. Laser cut back here in Made in USA. We're real proud of that. That was our goal from the beginning, was to make this as American made as possible. I'm certainly not knocking any of the other brands. I've got trailers from all over the world and I enjoy them and love them all. We just wanted to see what we could do to offer one made here domestically, and see if we could put something out there that people would like. So hope you enjoy it. If you've got any questions, reach out to myself. I'm easy to find on Facebook. Capital Customs is my name there. I'm fairly active in in most of the 14th scale groups, or you'll be able to find me fairly easy, and I try to be pretty responsive. Tim at bedrockrc.com is going to be your source for all the info on pricing, availability, if you want to get on the list. I know he's starting to make them now. Several people are on the list, so if you want to jump in there, get your colors picked, spec out how you want your trailer ordered, he'll have get all the parts lined up, get the laser cutting done, get them welded and fabbed, sent off to powder coat if that's what you choose, and get them shipped out here, all from the US as quickly as he possibly can. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me ramble all through this video, and I hope we've come up with something that you'll enjoy.